Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Progressive. Today, a chance of rain and snow before dawn, then rain and snow likely until noon. Mostly cloudy with a high near 35. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 24. Saturday brings partly sunny skies with a high near 36. Currently, it's 32 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 9 o'clock.
The Elgin Police Department is dedicated to working in partnership with the community to promote safety and enhance the quality of life by serving with professionalism, encouraging open communication, and embracing diversity.
Engaged.
Partnering with our citizens and involved in our community.
Progressive.
Embracing innovative strategies while maintaining proven practices.
Dedicated.
Serving with integrity and professionalism. Elgin became an incorporated city in 1854 and installed its first police marshal, George W. Renwick. Over the years, the title of the head law enforcement officer changed from marshal to chief. And although the role has expanded, one duty has remained consistent: to ensure law and order for the citizens of Elgin.
It's time now for Fridays with the Finest, featuring Elgin's current police chief, Anna Lally, on Elgin's hometown radio station since 1949, WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
And good morning, everybody. It's me, Dean DeLaley here at WRMN 1410, and another exciting episode of Fridays with the Finest. We have with us today Chief Anna Lally, of course, and we also have in studio the School District Superintendent from U46, Suzanne Jensen. So go ahead, Chief. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
I couldn't be better.
Good. So good morning. I have a guest with me today, Dr. Johnson. She's here from School District U46, to talk everything about our partnerships, things that have been going on. So, I think it's great to highlight the partnerships that we have throughout the community so that people know, because a lot of times people have questions that I necessarily can't answer or she can't answer. So, to have people see that very public display that we are in support of each other and working with each other. And we have school resource officers and we've had them. And so I thought it would be just really good to, have that conversation this morning. But before we get into that, there's just a couple things I do want to mention. So first, we had a missing person, Miguel Segura, that went missing on November 29th of 2025. His family came in and reported him missing. And earlier this week on February 17th, we responded to South Elgin to assist them, that they had a deceased subject in the river, in the Fox River, located near the dam. On February 18th, an autopsy was conducted by the Kane County Coroner's Office and positively identified Miguel Segura. So At this point, the preliminary cause of death is drowning, and toxicology results and samples were collected. It will be sent to a forensic lab for further analysis. With that, we want to extend our condolences to his family and to his friends. Additionally, thank you to the Elgin community for being involved and giving information and being engaged. That case at this point, is considered still ongoing. We have now classified it as a death investigation, and no further updates will be made available at this time. I do want to mention too, we've added on our transparency hub on the main page. You'll see an area for active missing people cases. So we obviously have our cold cases going on, but when they're active missing cases, we've enhanced the transparency site to provide more information in terms of what is it that we're comfortable releasing to the public. So we did push a lot of information out about Miguel's case. That information will be archived on our transparency site. If there are any further questions, please, take a look at that for the community or reach out to us. The other thing I want to mention is, Easter is right around the corner, and we are going to be we usually do a helicopter egg drop. This year, we're not doing that. We're going to try something different this year. They're calling it a color explosion egg hunt. Basically, we will be hosting that. It will be in Festival Park on April 4th from 11 to 1. Music, egg, an Easter egg hunt, face painting, bouncy houses, tons of officers, tons of people. This event is probably one of our top 3 events that gets a lot of people there. Our Halloween event, our Easter event, and National Night Out. So looking forward to, hopefully some warmer weather, although this morning, it's a little brisk, reminding us
what a switch, huh?
It's still winter. So please follow us on Facebook, find out more information. And then lastly, I want to say congratulations. We had our annual award ceremony on Wednesday night. So I want tons of officers, tons of professional support staff getting awards. So congratulations to all of them. The hard work that is conducted every day by the men and women of the Elgin Police Department. I have the honor and pleasure of seeing it firsthand. I appreciate them. Some of the best people that you'd want to know in life. But we do of the year awards. So these are kind of the highlights. Just congratulations to the Explorer of the Year, Luz Sembrano. So our explorers, we have over 30 explorers that help us. They're not paid. They're young adults that eventually want to enter into the police profession. So we honor them too as part of our agency. So congratulations, Luz. Professional Support Staff Member of the Year is Public Safety Systems Technician Joey Alderson. So everything with computers, phones, technology. Joey was also an explorer. He kind of made his way through the organization. So just a great sense of humor, always pleasant, always friendly. So congratulations, Joey. Our telecommunicator of the year, our 911 dispatch center, very, very busy. A lot of things going on. That is Tyler Kalinsky. Tyler, thank you for what you do. Congratulations. He's amazing, just, spot on, just does an awesome job with some of our certifications that we need to the state. So congratulations. Then we do a rookie of the year. So this is your new officer. This is your officer. We still call them rookies. Rookie of the year, Officer Ethan Chase. So has only been on the police department for less than 2 years and has just really made a difference. And one of the standout things, when I was reading my speech and gathering information from supervisors, is the way he treats the people, the community, right? It's one thing, I think it's really important that the way you treat people in the community and your care for their safety, for their well-being, and when you have a young officer, and this is, what I have been saying for many, many years, if you hire people with good heads and good hearts, eventually the magic happens. It just takes a little bit of time. So he is an example of that. So congratulations, Ethan. Officer of the Year, Detective Martin Vega. So Martin Vega used to be the school resource officer over at Larkin, recently transitioned into our major investigations division. Martin knows tons of kids. Staff from Larkin High was there to support him, which was great to see.
That's right.
He truly has made an impact in people's lives. He worked with our Kane County State's Attorney Jamie Mosser to have a law changed based on an incident that happened with a student. Just amazing, very bright, cares about the community, involved in our youth empowerment program. So congratulations, Martin. And lastly, the supervisor of the year, that is Sergeant Rob Copeland. So Rob Copeland, Rob and I were hired together in March of 1996. So we went to the police academy together. So we are, approaching our 30 years here at the Elgin Police Department. So we were talking about it, and he remembered calls from he remembered things when we were in the academy 30 years ago. And I was
Holy
like,
cow.
how do you remember that?
Yeah.
Right. So, but he absolutely just does a phenomenal job with our honor guard. When we had the unfortunate passing of Sergeant Rich Free last year, he took the lead with our honor guard, and very emotional, very hard, very difficult thing to do. You're dealing with people's emotions, and then this is a person that we actually know. So just really phenomenal job. Cares about the officers, cares about up and coming supervisors. So congratulations, Rob. You're almost to your 30 here, so congratulations. So yeah, that was it. I want to just hit some highlights here.
Congratulations, really, to each and every one of you, Elgin's finest. And you know what? It starts from the top. If you're given the right leadership, they're going to conduct themselves the same way.
Yeah, and it's amazing too when especially Rob. I went to the police academy with him. I mean, and then you think about all this, but it just seems like it was yesterday. Although there are days where you're like, man, this just seems like it's been going on for 100 years. You're like, what? But it's just when you're talking to, and this is one thing that I tell a lot of young officers and even supervisors. We had a management meeting this week. You're never gonna, very rarely, you're not gonna remember the kind of day-to-day nonsense that happens. That it just is what it is. It's life. But you'll remember those things where you knew because somebody took the time to tell you, you really impacted my life in a positive way, and you don't do it because of that. If they do say thank you to you, that is the gift, right?
Yeah.
But you do it every day of, how today am I going to walk into the Elgin Police Department and take care of the community and take care of the people in this building. It's been very simple for me. And, when you do hear some of the, I had and I shared this, I had a lady that called me. There was a call that I took when I was a young officer, and this call happened 25 years ago. And this lady called me. It's a pretty significant case. She called me to, there eventually a person was arrested. She called me to tell me, hey, I remember you that day. And I remember kind of like what you did. And I was like, wow, and just to tell me how her life. So now she's my age. She was my age when it happened. And now she's, in her late 70s. And she was telling me this. And I was like, wow, because I get, my, I'll get notes on my desk, call so-and-so, and it's about this. And so I'm like, okay. And so finally, when I called her back, and she's like, "Do you remember me?" And it was like I could remember the call. I remembered how their house looked inside. I
Wow.
remember how. I mean, it was just. But she was so gracious and so, I will forever remember that. I will forever remember sitting in a room with Karen Sheeper's mom, right,
Oh,
Liz,
sure.
and her, her telling us thank you and that story, and being able to tell her, we found your daughter, I'm not going to remember all the nonsense in between. It just is what it is, right? So I think that's the importance of life, is just to really think about our place in life, our place in humanity, try to do the best for everyone that we can, right? Leave something positive in the world. And so, yeah, so really a lot of good stuff happening. It's really nice when we do an award ceremony. It's just a couple hours of nothing but good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations, everyone, to all the award winners. So yeah, today, Dr. Suzanne Johnson of District U46. So I guess I'm going to just throw it to you and just kind of, maybe an introduction,
Sure.
what you do, who you are. Yeah.
We try to do.
Yeah.
Well, so first of all, this morning, Chief, thank you so much for the invitation to get to join you. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate the opportunity to collaborate and continue collaborating and to be here with you. I have the honor and pleasure of also serving the Elgin community. I'm a graduate of Elgin High School. I've spent all 29 years of my career working for School District U46. And so, the best way to describe it is that I work to support teachers. In U46, we have teachers, and everybody else who doesn't have that title, our role is to do everything that we can to support them so that they can do the best job they can do every single day to support our students.
How many
And
employees total are in U46? Because you're the second largest school district, right? in
we are the
state?
second largest school district, so we are just under 7,000 employees.
Holy cow.
It's a big shop. That's going to shift, of course, a little bit. We do have a diminishing enrollment, and so as that enrollment continues to decline, as soon as as recent as 8 years ago, we were about 40,000 students. Today, we on any given day we're between 33.5 and like 33.7.
Wow.
And so, part of that, of course, there are a number of reasons that have impacted that. We expect that at some point we're gonna be closer to about 30,000. But right now we're also in doing some facilities work, of course, as you're well aware of. You've been a tremendous partner in helping us manage all of that as well through the city of Elgin. But as we do that, we're retiring some buildings. In U46, they've been great stewards of the public financial commitment. We have some buildings that are still being used for school on a daily basis that are nearing 140 years old.
Wow.
So as those buildings retire and we bring on some new ones, that will shift that a little bit and create some other opportunities for us to, of course, be a little bit more efficient. And then with that diminishing enrollment, of course, some of those numbers are going to shift when we think about our service for students.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why, Suzanne and I, talked this week a little bit about some of the protests that have been going on with this, students at the schools and kind of, her response and my response from the police department and her response. And so we thought it would be a good opportunity just to kind of, let the community know that those conversations happen behind the scenes to ensure the safety of everyone, the students, the staff, the police officers. And one of the things that we talked about a little bit is, the police responses. We had some happen last week where 3 schools, some of the students were walking, and then the week before we had 2 schools. And so, the police have a very specific role in that, and our SROs go out there, and this is kind of the core of relationship building, but then also kind of like from your perspective, what is important to you guys and kind of what is that message that you would want a community to know?
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that. And so first of all, I also want to highlight and emphasize that we have a long-standing and ongoing, collaboration and really positive working relationship. When you started today just highlighting and celebrating some of certainly members of the Elgin Police Department, and you hit on Detective Vega, there is no, he is the benchmark, right?
Yes.
And so when we think about who our school resource officers are, and we have school resource officers like Detective Vega, first of all, what that should tell everybody is that we have people who are joining us in this effort who are so focused on doing good things for students and making sure that you're partnering with us in our strategic plan goal too, which is all about safety, sense of belonging, inclusion, really focusing on that work. And we couldn't do that without you. The relationships that you build, the connections that are built every day in our schools, that are also built outside of our schools. And so that level of trust is really essential. So certainly, locally, nationally, across the landscape, we've seen a huge uptick in student walkouts or student protests. They look a little bit different depending on where you're at. We work because of those relationships that we also have with students. Our students do a great job of notifying us in advance. Like, they will actually come to administration and let us know that, we're thinking about organizing something. We're thinking about a walkout. We're thinking about some type of protest. And our focus is first and foremost always, we have to support student rights. So they do have the rights to speak, to walk, to make their voices known. But our other emphasis, and I think this is where you and I really come together on this, and we'll continue to do so, is around safety.
Yes.
Like, we're still charged with student safety. And whether they start in our buildings, leave our buildings, stay on our property the entire time, that challenge with them once they start moving is to make sure that they are safe and that, we do the best of our abilities to eliminate those dangers that are out there that could certainly impact them as they decide to potentially at times, and they have done that in the last couple of weeks, certainly leave our property.
Yep.
And that's difficult, right? And that is where our challenges exist. as U46, throughout the course of this round of walkouts, we have opted to leave really as much school personnel as possible at school, because despite the numbers, at any given time, we still had more than half of our buildings
In school.
In
Yeah,
school.
yep.
And so, our other focus after making sure everybody's safe is always the learning environment. So we've really opted to prioritize keeping teachers, administrators, all of our support staff as much as possible in school. So we then support it with additional administrators from our educational service center, from other buildings who might not be participating on that day. And we've walked with them. And really the reason we walk with them is to be able to provide that additional layer of supervision, to really try to minimize any other type of interaction with people or events that might be also happening in the community.
Yeah.
And that is the very real challenge. Elgin is a large city, as you have shared and share the concern. We can't control what the students are doing, and much less whatever else is happening and may come across their path. And that's a concern.
And I think the best, the good thing about, because there are a lot of questions, right? People will in the community, why does the school let the students leave? Why? And so she explained that, right? So that's I think, just to be very upfront about things that are going on so that people have the right information. They may not like it, right? That's just different. But to me, it's just very important that, when we started seeing, these kind of events happening, that, we connect with each other, and it cuts all the middle layers, right? I have sergeants, I have lieutenants, I have school resource officers, great. But ultimately, a final decision about something probably would need to come to me. So I imagine the same thing with her, right? So she has people that are in the schools, principals, deans, but for me, it's just very important to have this communication because of the fact of, last week, for example, we're dedicating a significant amount of Elgin officers to these events, which we want to keep them safe. We want to make sure that they're safe. But they have to, obviously we have to be sensitive to, we can't have criminal activity happen. We can't, and it can't turn into an unlawful assembly. It can't turn, so there's all these things that we do on our end, and the administrators are out there trying to do their best that they can. And sometimes it's never going to be enough for people. But the fact that people hear that, right, and know that, yes, the school recognizes that. The school is taking these efforts. We are also taking these efforts because while I have 70 officers working on 3 schools, now all of a sudden there's calls going on in Elgin all day. I mean, even most people think it's really busy at night. You'd be surprised. Sometimes it's busy now. People wake up and for whatever reason
they lose their mind.
They're mad.
Yeah.
So it just depends. But yes, can you talk a little bit, Dr. Johnson, about just, going forward with some of the, obviously it is a new it's a very unprecedented time, right? When were kids walking out of schools, high schools, middle schools? What is kind of the sentiment with U46, I guess, in looking and forecasting into the future, if this continues?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And certainly we've had, some opportunity to also follow up with some of our students who have been organizing and leading. We have some very talented and gifted young people who I think first and foremost are trying to be really as thoughtful as they can be, are trying to figure out how they can lead and make space for their voice in this world today. And they're looking for opportunities to do that. In those follow-ups, at some sites, we already have some clubs or organizations that that we're trying to now at this point redirect some of our students to. And those are civic-minded, organizations that many times are focused on trying to support community or interest in community. The main factor, though, is that it has to be student-driven and student-led. And I know that I've received that question over the last 2 weeks, right? Yep. Like, why is U46 organizing this? And we aren't.
Yes.
We aren't organizing walkouts.
That's a great point, so everybody hears
organizing
that.
protests.
Yes.
But when the students decide if it's 500 or 600 of them that they're going to do something, then again, we shift to that. How do we maintain supervision and safety? But with the students today, then it is that conversation around how else can we, support their interests and give them some other outlets or opportunities to now take that drive to do something to contribute to the community, to address an issue that they have identified that they feel strongly about, and help them do that. So whether it's ongoing education or information about the topic, In this case, the protests have all been around immigration rights. If it's, also food insecurity, that is something that the community has had to grapple with this year as well. Right? How do we help get them the information they need? And then how do we help connect some different resources so that we figure out how we can support them or make it known to them how they can channel this energy into something that could have an outcome that could, lead to either additional opportunities or working towards resolving the issue. Bringing forward different opportunities to address an issue across the community. And that's where we're at now. The students recognize that. So especially our high school students, I think the approach is always a little bit different when you have 17, 16-year-old students who are identifying an issue and want to respond to it as compared to our 12 and 13-year-olds. It's a little bit different, but that is the effort at this time to work to redirect them.
Because the other thing too is, you might have some students who they're walking out because they know what's going on, right? Like they believe in the cause that they're walking out for. And then some students, they're just walking out because this sounds like a great time, right? Like it's Friday. So you have to balance those. Balance those, which we completely understand. And I think too, recognizing that this is probably going to go on for a while. This is not a short-term problem. And if it is, it is what it is. But it's no different than, the Trust Act in Illinois for the police officers, right? I recognize that this is where we're at now, politically, culturally, whatever the case may be. And so instead of just sitting there and saying, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, working with Jamie Mosser, I had her on the show to talk about some of the changes in the Trust Act that we're going to do. I think, and, to Dr. Johnson's point, they're trying to do things. And I think that's important for the community to hear because, when we meet and we have these conversations, if I say that, I don't represent U46, right? So when people hear it from, she is leading 7,000 people, right? She is, the quote unquote chief of the schools. And she is making an effort to at least, give options, redirect, have the conversations, think about safety. And it's so important that people hear that, right? So you may not like when you see kids running through a lot of people are not going to like it. I mean, that's just the fact, right? However, it's not happening with, the teacher saying, let's go out there and do this. Hey, everybody, right? These are students that, and when people decide that they're going to do what they're going to do, they just do it. And then we have to respond, adjust, adapt, and shift. So, I truly appreciate the fact that those conversations are happening, that there is some redirection or attempt to redirect, because you never know. If you get the right student and, they think, all right, well, this is what we believe, this is, it's a great lesson in civic engagement. It's a great, you can turn something that has turned very negative in a lot of places into something very positive or productive. I think in Elgin, we just do things sometimes a little differently. So we have a couple minutes left. So what are your final thoughts?
Well, I also want to tell you how much I appreciate the conversations and the feedback and the questions. I think those are really vital as well for us, as we debrief after every major event. And so as we work through this and we take a look at trying to figure out how we can do things better and always improve, part of that is to hear what the feedback is and to hear what the questions are. And to your point, we can't always do all of those things. We, of course, have to follow state law. We have to follow school code. There are some very specific guidelines there. But without that engagement and that dialogue, we also don't get that really essential feedback to improve. So I, very much appreciate all of that as well.
And, just to chime in, just to hear, I'm hearing what you're saying. And I want to make sure that the people listening are understanding, you're not just setting these up. It's nice that the police department and you work together, but you are allowing the staff to stay educating the children that are in the classes. But this is a right of a student to have a demonstration and protest, obviously on the grounds. So then you get some of your extra staff that you have that could be there, because sometimes things could escalate, not necessarily by the youth that are out having this protest, but maybe somebody makes a comment. And now one's got to stand up better than the other. You know how it is when you're younger. And then it's nice that you're putting staff out there to try to detour that from happening, because the police, they can only do so much.
Absolutely. And
I think that's great that you're doing
that.
Been
outstanding.
Yeah.
One of the things that certainly the Elgin Police Department, brought to us very early was, hey, that's great that you have some of these additional people, but how about a few of the people from inside the building that do have the relationships with the students, that the students do recognize as well. And I think that has certainly made a difference. I think that's been really helpful as well.
Sure.
One of the things about adolescence, as you know, it's been a long time, but I think we all remember this, and some of us have our own at home right now. As soon as one school, right, all it took, we have 5 high schools, five comprehensive and 1 alternative. As soon as one high school made the decision to do this, we knew it was what was coming.
Now it's everybody's idea.
Yeah, and I think especially today we've really we've implemented some things during the school day to try to minimize student social media. At the high schools this year, phones are away during instructional periods. Students can access them during passing periods and lunch periods. Middle schools, they are in lockers or they're in yonder pouches, which has changed life radically again at middle school to try to minimize just the social media interactions and the ongoing connectivity with us between our students. But once they got out of school, it is still something that we contend with. Yeah. And so I think that's always our struggle, is that we cannot compete with the speed of communication that our adolescents have access to.
And not always the right information.
Correct.
Right? And they are, and that's the other part that we have to think about too, is that when students have access to their phones, and then we see it with school threats, and all of a sudden somebody is texting, and then it turns into this because they're telling their parents, and sometimes this stuff is not actually happening. So we have to respond quickly to tap down that bad information, because that becomes a very significant threat.
And the parents don't understand why the younger kids shouldn't have their phone. As the police chief, you understand that phones ringing, if you had an active situation going on, you don't want people to have those phones ringing. Right. And then now that comes a different situation.
Well, and I think, I do want to put it out there that, certainly we've had some real positive parent support in this effort. First with social media and really trying to eliminate or decrease the reliance and the use of cell phones and media during the school day. We can't do it without the parents. We can't do it without the families, without the households. So we really appreciate that. Certainly appreciate the opportunity for us to be talking today, because again, really trying to support our parents and also having these conversations with their students and encouraging them.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate your partnership. If anyone has any questions for her or for you guys know where to find us. Yep. And I will be back next week. I hope everyone has a safe weekend. It's supposed to be a little chilly, so stay inside, watch Netflix, order a pizza, and everybody relax.
Let's be safe. Let's take it down a notch. And Dr. Susan Johnson from U46 Schools here with Chief Anna Lally. We thank you both for being here. And it sounds like you guys got a great partnership working together. And we need the parents. We need you to be a part of this as well. We'll be back. You're listening to WRMN 1410 right here. Voice of the Valley, talking town.
Thank you.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jeff Walter, and I'm running for Congress in the 11th Congressional District. As the mayor of Elgin, I'm really required to deliver certain common things that are all based around common sense. I have to provide good water, good streets, police protection, and a lot of other core services. Congress has lost its way on that. So if you want some common sense brought back to Washington, Vote Jeff Walter for Congress. You can check us out at www.jeffwalterforcongress.com. I'm Jeff Walter, and I approve this ad, paid for by Walter for Congress.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
Hi, everybody, and happy Friday. I hope everyone had a good week out there. Steve Thorne here with another Community Spotlight show. And
yes.
And I'm joined here today with my sidekick and the wonderful producer here of the show, pushing all the buttons and slide levels for the pots.
Yes.
Triple M, marvelous Matt McNeil. Matt, how are you today?
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well too. I tell you what, I'm still up on cloud nine over that wonderful celebration of life for George Wednesday night. I know that many people listening right now were there, and a few people that wanted to be there that have called in the last couple days and talked about it, asked about it, heard about it, saw pictures from it. I've seen numerous pictures posted by different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that the event went wonderfully smooth, organized. Everything went off well. I was so happy because George would have been happy. It's what George would have wanted. Not a memorial of sadness and people crying, but instead people having a good time, getting together, communicating, commiserating, socializing, and sharing a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And they all shared a meal that was so graciously and generously put on by sponsors, so that all those folks then got to come and have a free meal, and then hopefully it certainly appeared that all of them went up and put some money in the donation box for George's daughter, because it was very full, very full. And I worked with her at the end there, getting the contents out for her to put in a different container, and it was there was a lot of $100 bills in there.
Wow.
I mean, notable. So that was really great.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sure pleased. And, you know, as I always like to start my program, I always like to start the program with a dedication, most often a memorial, but sometimes to a living person or persons, or even a place or an event. Well, today I certainly would like to dedicate the show to the event, the celebration of life 2 nights ago for the extraordinary life of an extraordinary person, George Rollinson, one of the best friends I've ever had in my life. And it was done so well at the American Legion Hall, and the cook, my word, they outdid themselves because they were really going to just do spaghetti and meatballs, period.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided to add to that your choice, chicken Alfredo, fettuccine Alfredo with chicken, or rigatoni, and they included salads for everybody.
Yeah, it was nice.
I mean, it was just amazing. And then different people brought the desserts, and I think it was Cleveland Dennis that brought the giant sheet cake, but then he
Mhm.
wasn't able to be there. So I'm maybe it was 58 Mike. I think that's who it was.
Okay.
Uh, and
Oh,
that
Cleveland
was
Dennis was there.
yes,
He was,
58
yep.
Mike couldn't
Wasn't
be
there.
there,
Mhm.
and he's the one that brought that huge sheet cake. And I mean, it was very good, and it was big. I
Mhm.
mean, big.
Yep.
And then Mary Swanson brought that big box of quality high-end cookies from Franco's. Oh my
Those are
gosh,
good.
they sure were. I thought, well, I'll just have one or two of these. Well, there was about 7 different kinds.
Mhm.
So guess what? I had to have 7
Yep.
because
Yeah.
everyone was each one was better than the last one. I had to keep trying them. Great big, that picture of George was so neat to have there. I hope that picture could be, I thought about it. I don't know where that went. I don't know if the daughter took it
Mhm.
or the brother, but if so, another one like that needs to be made for this dedication room next door.
Mhm.
Don't you think?
Yes,
I
definitely.
think that would be perfect. So I'll find out where that went and what needs to be done to get another one.
Mhm.
Also, I wanted to make a copy of that proclamation, and then I'll get that framed for the room next door too.
Mhm.
And the city proclamation was there. I wanted to talk a little bit. You know, I was able to do my speech, but we had some other speakers, and that was so nice. So we had Dean spoke, and then we had Daryl's John, or what you call it, George's brother spoke, and then we had his daughter spoke. His nephew from Reno, Nevada came and he spoke, and Marky B and Sherry Blazer, First Shift Sherry, together sang a wonderful song.
Mhm.
Wasn't that great?
That was really good.
Yeah, I was just amazed. I never realized how good of a singer he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he gave a great speech in the beginning, and Dean gave a great speech, and it just everything was good. And then of course the mayor of Elgin, his speech was so moving
Mhm.
of what the fact that he actually said he learned things from George, and it was just a wonderful night with those people speaking, and then the presentation by Dean at the end, and having the family all come up for the photo,
Mhm.
all the relatives, and it was very, very touching. There was a donation box there for Carlin, Karlyn. That is George's daughter. She is a school teacher in Evanston. She was there with her fiance. So I know that it's sad for her that she'll be getting married soon, but her dad's not here to walk her down the
Yeah.
aisle. But we'll see who she can have do that. Maybe George's brother.
Mhm.
Who knows? That's not my place to make an assumption. I thought I would just shed some light once again on just a few things that George did, and with him founding State Street Publishing, writing, composing and publishing many books on people and about people and places in Elgin. Of course, he wrote for the Courier News for years and years and years and did so much work over at the Elgin Public Library as he put his articles together. And then he founded Spaghetti Palooza, bringing the WRMN listeners to meet everyone face to face and see their faces. And I remember that was his talk. He says, you know, all these people that talk and engage in conversation, they don't know what each other looks like. And let's see if we can't have an event and change all that. And it was a huge success. Spaghetti Palooza got sponsors along with himself paying for all the spaghetti. And it was crowded just like the other night. Incidentally, that night, Wednesday night, I heard people that had come a little bit later that said they had to park 2 blocks away. And that room, boy, that room was filled. That's the most I've ever seen it filled.
Me too, yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a seat available. It was packed in that giant room. I believe over 180 or plus meals were served. And, you know, and some people didn't even eat. Some people came and didn't eat. So there was probably 200 people.
Yeah.
It
was a very nice turnout.
It sure was. And, you know, something else George did, of course, he founded Stevie Palooza, a tribute to Steve Ainsworth that left us with, sadly, from ALS. He founded the First Responders Fest. You know, George was behind that. And he also founded Tribute to the Troops, which was an award-winning program here on Veterans Day for many years, right here on the radio with Jeff Meyer and myself. And he was the person behind renaming the Elgin City Center the Edward Schock Center.
That's cool.
Well, Edward Schock, Mayor Schock, he had the vision for that building and for that center. And he made it happen. And that was why it was so meaningful and such a tribute to him. I mean, you look at the difference it's made in Elgin. I mean, it's a staple. You know what else? I mean, who knows what the former owner here of WRMN would have done? He was a ghost. He lived in Memphis. He just wasn't engaged up here. And he wasn't doing things with it. And the station started fading. And who knows if it would have faded into oblivion. I read about a station in Peoria that had been on the air 80 or 60 years, and they just closed their doors. Didn't sell it to anybody. They just closed. That could have happened here. But because of George introduced Dean to this station a number of years ago. He brought him here when Dean represented the Knights of Columbus and interviewed him on the air. That was the initial connection. And it grew from there. The interest grew from there. And now look, you know, here we are still going strong. He did so many other things. You know, he founded those music lunches, those trivia lunches, bringing people to RKs, and he paid for all that himself. And just amazing all the things that George did. He touched so many people's lives, and considering all those things that he did, in a way, a lot of things be touching people's lives for years to come, even though he's gone. Well, it was a wonderful evening, and Matt, it was nice to see you there. I'm sure you enjoyed it. What's your takeaway from it?
I think looking at when I was able to step back and I was able to see a room filled with people who all had something good to say about George. They had some experience. They knew George in some way, and they came out to the event to support him and his family. I think that was a wonderful thing to see as a community. I think that it really, really was a celebration of life. And you know, there's a time to grieve and then there's a time to celebrate. And I think that this was a wonderful celebration where people came together. The food was wonderful, but it wasn't about the food. It was about celebrating George and what everything that he did too. Um, and like we have all said before too, he always made everyone feel like you were his best friend. And I thought that that was something really that stood out to me about him. Is it really there was always a connect, even if you had just met him on the at the grocery store or something. I'm sure everyone has felt that way. So
You are so right. George had no enemies, only friends he hadn't met yet.
mhm.
Everyone was his friend. Everyone liked George. And, somebody said there was a guy there last night, Wednesday night, that came with he was a good friend and neighbor of George's brother.
Mhm.
And he said, I never did meet George, but I feel like I know him now. And I sure wish I had known him face to face.
Mhm.
So it was just a neat feeling. I want to also do a special thanks to the American Legion and especially Dennis over there. He stepped up and helped us so much, and there's even a contribution coming. And Dennis, I don't know if you're listening, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, you really added to a wonderful, successful evening, and it's exactly what George would have wanted. You know, I thought about something that I've been to so many events there in the last 20 years, and with the exception of our golf league having a banquet, this is the only one like this that I've been to where he wasn't there.
Mm.
But his pictures were there, his comments were there, his conversations, everything was there. He was certainly there in spirit.
Yes.
And that'll be the case always from now on. So, well, let's move on. And how about get well list? We got to say get well to a few people. My dear friend and neighbor, Kathy Newby, she's improving and on the mend from getting a new knee. And you hear a lot of people do that these days. And it's amazing the process as I helped her get her up to the doctor, and they know exactly what to do and when to do it, and then physical therapy starts, and first the physical therapy's at the house and then physical therapy's at the center. And first you're walking with a walker, and pretty soon you're walking with a cane, and how far back can you bend it? And they get you back in shape, and it's unbelievable what we've been able to do. Just like a lot of people, you hear them get new shoulders, because they get torn rotator cuff, and knees and shoulders, and of course sometimes hips. And so, Kathy, keep plugging along, and you'll be good as new soon. And speaking of Kathy's, hi to my dear friend Catherine Smith. She had fun yesterday at the Triad event I took her to over at the township. We learned a lot. We had the Cub Talk, and Cub stands for Citizens Utility Board, not Cubs baseball. But they talked, and she talked about ComEd and the bills, and she talked about NICOR and alternative suppliers and how to be careful. And there's even been scams, and AARP was the second speaker, and she talked about the fact that there's even been people knocking on your door and say, we want to confirm your electric supplier here, and shows seniors this and that, and gets them confused and has them sign the bottom line, and the next thing you know, they switch to a different carrier, and they're charged way more. Their introductory rate went away after a few months, and now they're paying way more for their electric. And they give them $100. You get $100 if you switch. You get $100. Well, in 6 months, you've already paid more than that back, and that they're banking on you that you don't notice, and you stay there longer than that, and you just keep paying extra.
Yeah.
So you gotta. Your best bets, just stick with ComEd and stick with NICOR, and don't go to these other sources. But it was a very good presentation and program, and Peggy Gomez, that's over the volunteer coordinator from the senior services. She's the president of Triad now, and she organized it very well, and everything went smooth. And then they had a nice lunch, a spaghetti or rigatoni lunch from Cafe Roma, and all the seniors had fun, and a nice big brownie for dessert. So Catherine had fun with that. Hi to my dear wife, Maureen, also known as Peach. And she had a great time at the George Memorial. She and George were so close. They talked on the phone so much. Plus, George visited us so much, and that's, I think, the only thing missing. It's a shame we couldn't get George's old neighbor who has Louie now to bring Louie.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been good, but I'm sure he was there in spirit as well. But little dog Louie is with a friend of George's, and it was a person that had a dog that went to the same vet.
Okay.
So there was some comfort there,
Mm-hmm.
especially. Anyone else out there struggling with health issues? Cindy out in Belvedere, I hope you're doing all right. And anyone that's having any issues, whether it's surgery, whether it's ailment. And even today, Susie C. didn't feel well. So I hope she's feeling better. Maybe she's home and listening in. So get well, Susie. I want to also comment that it was nice that there was multiple city council members at the event.
Yeah, so that too.
Rose was there. John Steffen was there. Tish Powell was there. Corey Dixon was there. So the other three, I don't believe, knew him at all.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. Other than that, I want to say hi to Lorraine Frost. I know Lorraine is busy doing something up in Carpentersville, Dundee area. Lorraine, hope you're doing well. Your name is going to be creeping back into the weather.
Yeah.
Frost. We're waiting for spring, and all those days in a row with it being so cold. So cold, man.
And now we already had some flurries today.
I know that, just a teeny bit.
A little bit.
I noticed it when I took my dog out for a walk, and the darn wind. I took him out for a walk, and I got to the end of the driveway, and as I looked up to the west there, I saw, oh boy, there's our recycled can had blown over, and of course there was some stuff out, so I had to go up there and pick it all up and get it into the container and tip it back up. Hopefully it won't tip back over.
Yeah.
It's a gust that does it, all of a sudden. But
always seems to be. It just knocks over because of the gust of wind.
Well, usually it's picked up by now, so hopefully he didn't drive by because it was laying down.
Yeah.
I'll find out when I get off here and go back home and check into it.
You got 3 minutes.
Oh, boy. Well, we only got 3 minutes to go. I do want to reference to everybody, make sure you turn into Sherry's senior radio program now on Thursdays. It's on the third Thursday or second?
It is the second Thursday.
Second Thursday at 9:05. Tune into Sherry's and make sure you ask about getting on her email list because it's not the same list that they had for the city. The city had her as a great position, senior liaison for the city of Elgin. That position has not been replaced. They don't have a senior representative for the city of Elgin. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I urge you, make a phone call. phone call or a text or an email. Call the city and say you want that position filled. You want someone to be representing seniors. I will always do my best to be in that place on the city council, making comments and talking and, of course, voting for. But we really need someone like what Sherry was doing. It really set Elgin apart, and it showed how much Elgin cared about senior community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Lent time is coming.
Yeah.
You know what that means? More people going out for fish fries.
Yes.
So I want
Always
you to
good.
remember all those great places that have fish fries. You've got downtown Elgin. You've got the Turners has a fish fry. If you know someone that is a member of the Owls, they could take you there for a fish fry. The Public House has a fish fry. Paul's Restaurant has a fish fry. The American Legion has an award-winning fish fry. And the one that we go to the most, which I think we'll probably go to tonight, is the Elgin Eagles Club, which is in Gilbert's. They got a great fish fry out there. Dave is an incredible cook. And so go say hi to Dave and try their salmon. How we doing, Matt? When I
got about a minute and a half.
Minute and a half to talk more about fish fries. How about RK's in South Elgin? You don't want to miss that one as well. Their fish fry is like a recipe that goes way back to the Blue Moon Ballroom when people used to get their fish fry on the west side of the building at that to-go window. You had to park your car, get out, and go up there and get it. And but boy, it was always busy. And I hope that you all have a great weekend. It's going to be a little cooler. We got spoiled there for a few days. After having those multiple cold days, our heating bill just came in. Yikes. It wasn't as high as we thought it was going to be, but it's still the highest one we've ever had. So
20 seconds.
20 seconds to say goodbye. I wish you all a wonderful weekend, a peach of a weekend. Wish me well. I'm doing an auction tomorrow night to raise funds for childhood leukemia. So I'll be doing that and have my assistant helping me with all the numbers. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back next week with the Community Spotlight. Have fun, everyone.
Station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410 Elgin time.